If you want to land your dream job of becoming a flight attendant, then this video is a must watch. In this video specifically, I'll go through step by step Envoy Air's virtual and face-to-face interview process. If you want to feel more prepared, more confident, and increase your chances of getting hired, make sure you watch this entire video. Also, later in this video, I'll show you where you can download my exclusive flight attendant hiring guide, covering all the major airlines, their interview questions with sample answers, hiring processes, common FAQs, and much more. So in today's video, I'll be covering the following. Number 1, introduction. Number 2, will you have a virtual interview or assessment? Number 3, overview of the face-to-face interview. Number 4, common questions asked during this interview. Number 5, what happens after the face-to-face? And number 6, sample questions and answers to help you prepare. Introduction. After your application has been approved and you meet Envoy's requirements, you will receive an invitation to attend the Envoy Air face-to-face interview. This process is considered one of the most important parts of the hiring process because recruiters are evaluating much more than just your answers. They're watching your professionalism, communication skills, confidence, attitude, and how you interact with others in a fast-paced environment. Important. A lot of candidates say the face-to-face interview starts the moment you walk into the room, not when the first question is asked. And I think what they mean by that is that when you walk into the room and the recruiters and the hiring managers are there, they're looking at your mannerisms, the way you move, the way you talk, the way you look. So it's not really about the question and how you answer it. It's about the overall impression you give the recruiter at the time of your interview and when you walk into your interview. I will go into more details on the location and what to expect during the face-to-face later in this video. Will you have a virtual interview or assessment? After doing extensive research online, it appears that Envoy Air does not have a virtual interview or an assessment. Any mention of virtual interviews and assessments was several years ago, so it is possible that these were a part of their hiring process before. For example, here's a candidate testimonial. Then you just have to wait for the company to reach back out to you. I didn't have to submit a one-way virtual interview. The next step was the face-to-face. Here's another one. Interview was in person for me. No virtual interviews required, at least not for me. It's a group interview, so there's at least 20 to 30 other applicants there as well. And here's finally number 3, a candidate testimonial. There was no virtual interview at all during the hiring process. After you submit your application and you are selected, you will be invited directly for a face-to-face interview. I like the fact that I didn't have to do a virtual interview, unlike many other airlines. Overview of the face-to-face interview. The Envoy Air face-to-face interview is one of the most important stages of the hiring process. Recruiters are not only evaluating your answers, but also your professionalism, communication skills, attitude, confidence, and how you interact with others throughout the day. Selected candidates will be flown down to attend the face-to-face interview. This is held near Dallas, Fort Worth, close to Envoy's headquarters in Irving, Texas. Now, after doing some research, Envoy Air will cover the flight, but many people reported having to pay for accommodations and personal expenses. Some people did have hotel paid for too. Here's a testimonial. They paid for flights, but we had to cover food and hotel accommodations. Here's someone else. The company made accommodations for me and paid for my flight there as well. Here's another testimonial. They flew me in the day before my interview. This is standard. My interview was at 9 a.m. the next day, and you need to pay for a hotel since that was not covered. Important. Envoy paying for a hotel and accommodations, in my opinion, may depend on your own personal circumstances. If you need help, Envoy may cover both. You do need to fill out a sheet before flying out, so you may apply to ask for hotel coverage. Here's what to expect during this process. Arrival and check-in. Candidates are asked to arrive early, often around 8 o'clock to 8:30 a.m. At check-in, applicants may receive a name tag, verify their information, show required documents, and complete basic paperwork. Many candidates mention that there can be dozens of applicants in the room. For example, candidate experience. I arrived about 30 to 45 minutes before the expected time, and there were already several people that were there. Number 2, company presentation. Candidates are usually brought into a large room for a presentation about Envoy Air, the flight attendant role, expectations, pay, benefits, bases, appearance standards, and training. Many candidates describe this part as informative, friendly, and sometimes lighthearted. For example, candidate experience. Everyone went into the conference room and they gave an hour-long presentation about being a flight attendant, what's expected of you, appearance requirements, info about the company and planes. There was a presentation that included great information, benefits, and salary. Number 3, group structure. The interview is held in groups. When you arrive, you will check in and be taken into a room with several other people. Some people have reported 50 people in their group, but others have reported much more. For example, here's a candidate experience. When I did arrive, there were, I'd say, 100 applicants, give or take, so everyone was definitely on the same page to arrive as early as possible. We were brought back into groups to show the documents they asked us to bring for check-in before entering a room where we could all wait to be called back for our interviews. Here's another experience. It is a group interview. We were split off into groups of 5 since there were so many of us, and you choose 2 random numbers, not the same as other people, so they were all mixed up. Here's another one. They have a certain hotel that has a special rate and a shuttle into the headquarters the morning of the interview. In my group, there were 67 applicants participating. So number 4, what happens in smaller groups? As mentioned, larger groups are narrowed down into smaller groups of 5 to 6 people. Here is where the actual interviewing process begins. Here's what to expect during this process. Many candidates mention that the interview starts with introductions and icebreaker questions to help everyone relax. Applicants are often asked to share their name, where they're from, and a fun fact about themselves before the actual interview questions begin. For example, candidate experience. The 5 of us all introduced ourselves at the beginning of the interview and said one fun fact about ourselves. Here's another one. First, everyone introduced themselves. We said our name, where we are from, and a fun fact about ourselves. Now, after the introductions, candidates are commonly asked behavioral and situational interview questions. Several candidates reported that they had to randomly pick numbers that matched different interview questions prepared by the recruiter. Most groups only answer 2 questions per candidate. For example, here's a candidate experience. We were in a group of 5. Each 5 of us only got to answer 2 interview questions. Here's another one. Each person picked 2 numbers between 1 to 10, and those corresponded to which questions you got asked. Questions will focus on customer service, teamwork, conflict resolution, safety situations, co-worker issues, stressful situations, communication skills, adaptability, etc. Some candidates mentioned that every person in the group received different questions, while others said everyone answered the same question one by one. Many applicants also reported that recruiters closely observed how candidates behaved while others are speaking. Candidates online frequently mention that professionalism, eye contact, friendliness, listening skills, posture, and overall attitude matter heavily during the group interview. Important, you will get a complete list of the questions candidates mentioned they were asked during their face-to-face interview. Stay tuned for later in this video. Number 5, height check and jump seat test. Before or during the interview process, many candidates report completing a physical fit check that includes a height measurement and jump seat test. This step is designed to ensure candidates can safely perform basic flight attendant duties and properly fit into the aircraft jump seat harness. Candidates commonly mentioned being asked to stand against a wall for a height measurement and then sit in a mock jump seat to demonstrate that they can fasten the seatbelt and harness correctly. For example, here's a candidate experience. They first had everyone line up and did a fit test. This was just sitting in a mock jump seat and putting on the seatbelt and then standing against the wall so they could measure your height. Here's another one. They take your height and may ask you to remove shoes for this. Sit and buckle a jump seat. Here's another one. Had to sit in a jump seat and buckle it up. Stand in front of a measuring tape for my height. Number 6, PA announcement reading. Another part of the Envoy Air face-to-face interview that many candidates report is the PA, public announcement reading exercise. During this stage, applicants are usually handed a short announcement similar to what flight attendants would read on board an aircraft. Recruiters appear to use this exercise to evaluate communication skills, confidence, clarity, professionalism, and the ability to remain calm while speaking in front of others. Many candidates mentioned being given only a short amount of time to quickly review the announcement before reading it out loud in front of recruiters or other applicants. Several candidates reported that each person received a different announcement and that the exercise itself was fairly short and straightforward. Common examples include seatbelt announcements, deplaning announcements, or electronic device reminders. For example, here's what candidates had to say. Yes, I was asked to read a PA announcement, which I was given about 10 to 15 seconds to skim over before reading out loud. There were a list of 4 or 5 to choose from, and the interviewer chooses one at random to have you read. One of the ladies in another group messed up her reading of the announcement and was really worried about it, but she got hired anyway. So what I think at this point, what Envoy Air is really looking for is your ability to speak clearly and the way your posture is during this process. It is normal in the beginning when you only have 10 to 15 seconds to prepare for this announcement that you will mess up. But I think what they're really looking for is how well you communicate during your PA announcement. 7, waiting period during the event. After the interview, candidates often wait while recruiters make decisions. Some people may be sent home while others may move forward. Candidates say the day can be long, sometimes lasting from early morning until afternoon or evening. Number 8, conditional job offer, fingerprinting, and drug test. Some candidates receive a conditional job offer the same day. If selected, they may complete fingerprinting, drug testing, or additional pre-employment paperwork before leaving. Most candidates report completing a urine drug test, fingerprinting, and background authorization paperwork after receiving their offer. Some candidates also mention completing hearing, vision, or basic medical evaluations depending on the hiring process at the time. Candidates online frequently mention that marijuana/THC can still disqualify applicants even if it is legal in their state because airlines follow federal DOT and FAA regulations. Many applicants also stress the importance of bringing all the required identification and documents because missing paperwork can delay or stop the process entirely. Some candidates report receiving training dates shortly after fingerprints and background checks clear, while others mention waiting days or weeks for final confirmation. For example, candidate experience. It was long because we all got CJOs and had to do fingerprints and drug tests. If you get the job offer, you will be fingerprinted and drug tested at their facility. They sent me directly to medical where I did the drug, hearing, vision tests. Now, let's go over the common questions you can expect during the face-to-face interview. Before we continue, if you have a flight attendant interview coming up and want the exact interview questions and sample answers asked by 15 of the major airlines like United, Delta, American, SkyWest, and more, check out my exclusive flight attendant hiring guide. Inside, you'll find the exact interview questions, sample answers, what recruiters score you on, and what it takes to land a conditional job offer from these airlines. Click the link in the description below to preview the guide and grab your copy today. During the Envoy Air face-to-face interview, candidates report being asked a variety of behavioral, customer service, teamwork, and safety-related questions. Most applicants describe the questions as conversational and focus more on personality, professionalism, and communication skills rather than technical airline knowledge. Several candidates reported that they were asked situational or STAR method style questions where they had to explain how they handled real situations from previous jobs or life experiences. Now, for those of you who don't know what STAR is, STAR stands for situation, task, action, result. So what was the situation? What was the task that you had to do? Action, what action did you take? And the result, okay? For example, icebreakers. So some of the icebreaker questions could include, tell me about yourself, tell us a fun fact about yourself. If you could sit next to anyone on a long flight, who would it be and why? Who helped you get where you are today? Why should we hire you? Describe yourself in one word. Flight attendant focused questions. Now, I'm not going to read over all of them, but just some of them. Why do you want to be a flight attendant? Let's look at another one. What do you expect to learn from this position? Are you willing to relocate? Do you understand how much time you may spend away from family? Teamwork and co-worker style questions. What would you do if you saw a co-worker doing something unsafe? Describe a time you worked as part of a team. How would you handle corrective criticism? What is your ideal work environment? And many more. For example, describe a time you received outstanding customer service and what stood out to you. How would you handle an upset passenger? How would you communicate with the passenger who has a language barrier? Describe a difficult customer situation and how you handled it. Some tips. For example, customer experience. The interview questions were heavily customer service and human resource based. Be prepared to answer STAR questions: situation, task, action, result. There were situational questions at the face-to-face, i.e., for example, what would you do if, how would you handle? Several candidates emphasized that recruiters appeared more interested in attitude, professionalism, and emotional control than giving perfect answers. For example, candidate experience. They want to get to know you and your personality. Just be yourself and smile. These questions themselves usually are not extremely difficult. What Envoy Air seems to care about most is how you communicate. What happens after? After the Envoy Air face-to-face interview ends, candidates report several possible outcomes depending on how they performed during the interview process. Some applicants receive conditional job offers, which are CJOs, the same day, while others may wait days or weeks for updates from recruiting. As mentioned, after the medical and background check, candidates describe finally receiving the training email as one of the most exciting parts of the entire hiring process because it usually means they are very close to officially becoming a flight attendant. Important. View my video on what to expect during Envoy Air's training. This is a complete video covering everything you need to know. The link is posted in the description below this video. Now again, that video is completely on the training process at Envoy Air, okay? Sample questions and answers. Let's now explore 4 to 5 sample questions and answers. These are the actual questions you can expect during your face-to-face interview. With each one, I'll go over what hiring managers are looking for in your answer and provide a high converting sample answer you can use in your interview with some tweaks to make it more personal to you. Number 1, if you could sit next to anyone on a long flight, who would it be and why? This question is a chance to show personality while still sounding professional and relatable. Recruiters are usually looking at how naturally you communicate, your attitude, and whether your answer reflects curiosity, positivity, or strong interpersonal skills. A good approach is choosing someone whose qualities connect to leadership, teamwork, communication, or personal growth. Let's look at the sample answer. If I could sit next to anyone on a long flight, I would choose Richard Branson. I've always found his approach to business and customer experience really interesting, especially because he built companies around making people feel comfortable and valued. Since he also has experience in the airline industry, I think it would be fascinating to hear his perspective on customer service, leadership, and how airlines create memorable experiences for passengers. What I admire most is that he seems approachable and creative despite being extremely successful. I also like that he takes risks and stays open-minded, which are qualities I think are important when working in fast-paced environments like aviation. As someone interested in the airline industry, I think it would be a great opportunity to learn how strong communication and positive customer experiences can impact a company's success while still having an enjoyable and relaxed conversation during the flight. Question number 2. Why do you want to be a flight attendant? Recruiters ask this question to understand your motivation for joining the airline industry and whether you truly understand the responsibilities of the role. A strong answer should go beyond travel benefits and focus on customer service, safety, teamwork, communication, and working in a fast-paced environment. They want to see that you're excited about helping people, staying professional under pressure, and representing the airline positively. Here's a sample answer. I want to become a flight attendant because I enjoy working with people, helping others, and being in fast-paced environments where every day is different. What attracts me most to this career is the combination of customer service, teamwork, and responsibility. I understand that being a flight attendant is much more than traveling. It's about creating a safe and positive experience for passengers while staying calm and professional during stressful situations. I've always enjoyed roles where I interact with different types of people, solve problems, and help others feel comfortable, and I believe those skills fit well with this position. I also like that flight attendants work closely as a team because I perform best in environments where communication and cooperation are important. Envoy Air also stands out to me because of its connection to American Airlines and the opportunities for long-term growth within the airline industry. Overall, I see this as a career where I can continue growing professionally while making a positive impact on passengers every day. Question number 3. Describe a time you worked as part of a team. This question is designed to evaluate how well you work with others in fast-paced and sometimes stressful environments. Airlines rely heavily on teamwork, so recruiters want to hear examples that show communication, adaptability, reliability, and the ability to support others when challenges arise. A strong answer should focus on your role within the team, how you handled pressure or obstacles, and the positive outcome that came from working together effectively. Let's look at a sample answer. At my previous job, our team experienced an unexpected staffing shortage during one of the busiest periods of the week. We were already dealing with a high volume of customers, long wait times, and several frustrated people, so everyone on the team had to quickly adjust to keep operations running smoothly. Instead of focusing only on my assigned tasks, I worked closely with my coworkers to help wherever support was needed most. I helped manage customer concerns, assisted newer employees who were becoming overwhelmed, and communicated constantly with the team so we could stay organized under pressure. There were moments where tensions could have easily increased because of how busy things became, but we stayed calm, supported one another, and kept a positive attitude throughout the shift. I also made an effort to check in with teammates throughout the day because strong communication was important to keeping everything under control. By the end of the shift, we were able to successfully handle the workload while still maintaining strong customer service. That experience taught me how important teamwork, adaptability, and emotional control are in fast-paced environments, which is why I feel I would fit well in the airline industry. Question number 4. How would you handle an upset passenger? Recruiters ask this question to evaluate your emotional control, communication skills, and ability to stay professional during stressful situations. Flight attendants regularly deal with frustrated passengers, delays, seating issues, and unexpected problems, so airlines want candidates who can remain calm, empathetic, and solution-focused under pressure. A strong answer should show that you listen carefully, avoid escalating the situation, and focus on resolving the issue while maintaining safety and professionalism. Here's a high-converting sample answer. If I encountered an upset passenger, the first thing I would do is remain calm and professional so the situation does not become more stressful. I would listen carefully to understand what is upsetting them and allow them to feel heard without interrupting. I think many situations can improve when people feel someone is genuinely trying to help them. After understanding the issue, I would speak respectfully and try to offer a solution within company policies or explain the situation clearly if there is something outside of my control. I would also remain patient even if the passenger was emotional or frustrated, because I understand that travel can sometimes be stressful for people. If the situation started escalating or involved safety concerns, I would follow company procedures and involve other crew members if necessary. My goal would always be to de-escalate the situation professionally while making the passenger feel respected and maintaining a safe environment for everyone on board. And finally, question number 5. How would you handle a passenger having a medical emergency on board? Recruiters ask this question to see if you understand that safety comes first. A strong answer should show that you would stay calm, notify the crew, follow company procedures, communicate clearly, and never try to act outside your training. They want to see good judgment, teamwork, and the ability to stay composed during a serious situation. Here's the sample answer. If a passenger was having a medical emergency on board, the first thing I would do is stay calm and alert another crew member right away so we could respond as a team. I would check on the passenger, try to understand what was happening, and follow the airline's emergency procedures without guessing or acting outside my training. I would speak to the passenger calmly, help keep the area clear, and make sure other passengers remain safe and seated if needed. I would also communicate important details to the lead flight attendant so the flight deck could be informed as quickly as possible. If the situation required it, we could ask whether there is a medical professional on board and use any onboard medical equipment according to procedures and training guidelines. Throughout the situation, I would continue monitoring the passenger closely, provide reassurance, and remain professional even if the situation became stressful or emotional. I also understand how important teamwork is during emergencies because every crew member has a role in maintaining safety and keeping the cabin organized. My focus would always be on keeping the passenger as comfortable and safe as possible while following company procedures carefully until medical personnel could assist after landing. I believe staying calm, communicating clearly, and working together as a team are some of the most important things during situations like that. Just a quick reminder, if you have a flight attendant interview coming up and want the exact interview questions and sample answers asked by 15 of the major airlines like United, Delta, American, SkyWest, and more, check out my exclusive flight attendant hiring guide. Inside, you'll find the exact interview questions, sample answers, what recruiters score you on, and what it takes to land a conditional job offer from these airlines. Click the link in the description below to preview the guide and grab your copy today. Stay safe, keep smiling, and good luck.